Good evening and welcome to Orient Live here in the E10 studio. The O's are looking to build on their first win of 2022, and it's our rearranged and slightly earlier fixture this evening as we travel up to Harrogate Town to face them. And before we do anything else this evening, let's take a look at Orient's side for this evening's game. So Richie Wellens has opted for the two changes this evening, with Otis Khan and Darren Prattley coming in for Paul Smith and Ethan Coleman. And the lineup in all its glory, of course, is number 22 Lawrence Vigouroux, number 3 Connor Wood, 6 Adam Thompson, 11 Theo Archibald, 14 Otis Khan, 16 Aaron Drynan, number 18 and captain Darren Prattley, number 19 Omar Beckles, 20 Ruel Tiriou, 25 Shadrach Ogie, and finally number 26 Hector Cipriano. And on the bench for the O's this evening, Sam Sargent, Paul Smith, Harry Smith, Frank Nublet, Matt Young, Ethan Coleman and George Ray. So as I said, just the two changes, and we want you to get involved this evening. If you want to send your tweets into the at LOFC Live, we want to read some of them out and get your thoughts, maybe any predictions, and maybe just how you're feeling at the moment. And it is the two changes there, Andrew, and the one that is not a shock, but maybe a bit of a head scratcher would be Paul Smith, considering the goal he scored against Rochdale on Saturday, but maybe his injury troubles might be the reason for that one.
Yeah, it's an interesting one with Smith, because whilst he did score a sensational goal, had a markedly improved second half. We saw him come off with a bit of cramp in the second half as well. It was interesting because that goal pretty much covered what was a fairly distinctly average first 40 minutes from him. So whilst he scored a sensational goal, improved in the second half, maybe Richie Wellens is just looking to just freshen up the squad. Again, I'm personally a little bit surprised. I think he did enough over the course of the game, and you never know, he might just that cramp might just be, he might still be just feeling that a little bit more. We know that he's struggled playing 2 games on the bounce, and now we have got this run of fixtures which is Saturday, Tuesday. Maybe he's just kind of biding his time and making sure that he's not overburdening him with minutes.
But Brendan, it does feel like there's been a bit of a flick of the switch recently. The sun's been shining, the games are coming thick and fast, and Orient picked up their first win of the year, which was very welcome indeed. But it does feel like there's this very different mood about it. It does feel like there's a bit more energy floating about.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a feel of positivity, like you say. Things have changed. The manager is starting to get his ideals across, and the first win of a calendar year will do that. And it's a good opportunity now to go on a good run, to get completely away from this relegation zone against a few sides who are in and around it with us and who are very beatable, starting with today, and hopefully pick up the first away win today since September.
It would be great, because it does almost feel like we've forgotten how to win on the road. It's great that we have finally won, of course. But looking at the opposition as well, they sit just a couple of places above us in the table. We've obviously got a game in hand. They're 4 points ahead of us, but it does feel like a good opportunity to catch up with those teams up and above us.
Yeah, totally. And it's another eminently winnable game. We've got a couple coming up, as Brendan alluded to. Barrow on Saturday, Oldham next Tuesday, and then this isn't a one that kind of a fixture that you would say should be kind to us, really. Harrogate only 1 win in 10, without a win in 6 as well. So it's a game that we should absolutely be kind of making our mark and showing that we can push and progress through until the end of the season. I think you can't really put a price on momentum going in from one season to the next, and we've seen that with this club in recent years, how having a strong end to the season can really, you can really push on into another season. So hopefully Saturday, and actually kind of probably the couple of weeks before that, so the draws that we were having back to back will kind of play into our favour, show that we're a hard team to beat, but also that we're a team that kind of means business towards the end of the season. I think that will give us a really kind of good springboard into the next season. But I feel like I'm probably getting a bit too far ahead of myself here, because 1 win, and it's still only one win since December. So putting the marker down tonight would be, a great kind of another way to kick on from Saturday.
It really would, and looking at building on that 1 win, they do say don't change your winning side. We have tonight, because Darren Prattley's the other change that comes in as well. Obviously the club captain, he's wearing the armband. he hasn't played under Richie Wellens yet, but he is a bit of welcome experience in that midfield, isn't he?
Yeah, well, I mean, he came on as a sub on Saturday and really impressed me, actually. And I thought, him being dropped to the bench for the first couple of games meant that I wasn't sure, whether or not the manager, like the look of him or what have you. But he came on Saturday and just gave us that a little bit of extra impetus, a little bit of extra steel in midfield, and him coming in for Coleman with when you have Coleman and Cipriani playing alongside each other, sometimes it can feel a bit samey, and you want one of them to do one job and the other to do another job in that midfield kind of role. But Pratley came on Saturday and really performed well. Was a good performer in what was an exceptional second half.
And keeping an eye on that midfield again, then Brendan. Otis Khan, someone that comes in there in that probably you'd call it the 4-2-3-1 formation. But what role do you think Otis will be playing in that tonight?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I think on Saturday it was a case of, I think it was Theo on the right, Ruel as 10, and then Paul Smith coming in from the left. So it'll be interesting to see how we adapt with that. I think Theo naturally is a bit better on the left for me. I like him playing his natural game where he can just go beyond players and cross balls in. We saw at the start of the season how effective he was at doing that. And Ruel played really well as well on Saturday in that 10 role. So for me, I'd probably anticipate Otis Khan playing on that right-hand side. It's natural for him. That's his natural side. And it's a big evening for him because I don't think we've quite seen the best of him in an Orient shirt so far, but hopefully with a new manager who thinks from the same kind of area as him, he'll be looking to reinvigorate him and show why he's been such a good player at this level for a number of sides previously.
Two Man United youth products, of course, but looking at those attacking options then, and when he came in he spoke a lot about the rotations and that involves chemistry and getting to know each other's link-up play, and one player who's now getting a run in the side is Aaron Dryan, and he hasn't scored yet. But do you feel as though those attackers maybe getting a run of games together under this new manager is going to be quite key to Orient keeping on scoring some more goals?
Yeah, I think it's coming for Aaron Dryan. I think he's had a few chances recently, and it's just a case of if he can take them. But I think this side under Richie Wellens will continue to create chances for the number 9. I think we saw in Richie Wellens' his best side that he's managed before was that Swindon side that won the league, and they had Owen Doyle up front that season who scored around 25-30 goals. So they do create a lot. Richie Wellens' sides do create a lot of chances for the number 9, for the lone forward, and hopefully Aaron Dryan will get a few of those today and will take them.
Yeah, he got that chance on Saturday, which he absolutely should have scored. A header which was went straight at the keeper, and it was pretty much point blank. But it was actually I found it quite encouraging because it was a position that we hadn't actually seen him since probably that Swindon game. He's had a couple of goals where he's gone through, scored, disallowed because of offside. But he did look sharp and lively on Saturday. He did what he does best, which is running the defensive line ragged, and so that was good. And I think when he gets that goal, hopefully he'll kick on. I mean, I think with Harry Smith, what you saw on Saturday was interesting. I saw a couple of fans saying "Oh, it's weird that Harry Smith didn't celebrate his goal." I think it was pure relief. You could kind of tell that he had such a long period of time without scoring a goal that he did look just more relieved more than anything, because it was that goal that kind of sealed the win for us. So I think with Dryan, hopefully that will be the case.
It obviously was a massive goal for Harry Smith on Saturday. I'm sure that one for Dryan will come soon. But looking at maybe the setup that we played, do you expect it to be maybe more of a battle between those two of who will play that focal role, and who do you think might sway Richie's favour?
I mean, it's a good question. I think it's still probably too early to say. We're still looking at what different ways of playing. It was good that Smith came off the bench and scored on Saturday. He also is, he's a nuisance as well. If you're playing against him and you've already played 60 minutes of football, you won't want to be coming up and then realising that you can't win another header for the next half an hour. So perhaps it will be a battle between those two. I think what the last few weeks has shown is that Ruel, stamping his authority on the team, has done wonders, not just for the team itself but for the competition for places, because in that spell where we just weren't winning games, it was still the same thing. It was still Dryan and Smith playing, trying to make it work, trying to find that magic that we had at the start of the season. But with Ruel coming in, and scoring the goals that he has, he's undroppable now. So it does mean that competition for places is back, and it's only a good thing for a team.
It certainly is. And Ruel, of course, also scored on Saturday. He got in amongst the goals as well as Paul and Harry Smith, and we've spoken about it an unsurprising amount. So let's remind ourselves of how that action unfolded. We could keep talking about that game all evening if we could, but we have got another one to turn our attention to this evening. But first, of course, if you're watching along live on our YouTube stream, make sure you head over to the Orient website to grab your match pass or audio pass to watch or listen along with Dave Victor and Matt Hiscock if you can. But now let's take a look at the Harrogate Town lineup for this evening's fixture. In goal for Harrogate is number 1, Mark Oxley. Number 2, Ryan Fallowfield. Wearing the armband, number 6, Warren Burrell. Number 7, George Thompson. Number 9, Mark Beck. 14, Nathan Sherron. Number 16, Alex Patterson. 21, Jack Diamond. 23, Rory McArdle. 29, Luke Armstrong. And number 33, Lewis Richard. And on the subs bench, getting jiggy with it, is number 5, Will Smith. Number 8, Callum Kavanagh. 13, Joe Cracknell. Number 18, Jack Muldoon. Number 19, Josh Osterfield. And number 30, Simon Power. So there is the Harrogate lineup as well. And Andrew, this was the side that had a fantastic first half to the season, very much like us, in a similar position to us now, just like us. And that I think they inflicted the first defeat of our season as well here at the Bro Group Stadium. It's going to be an interesting one this evening.
Yeah, it's strange how campaigns unfold, isn't it? Because we were playing really decent stuff at the start of the season, and they came here and completely played us off the park, and most fans went away from it thinking, well, they're very, very decent, and then they kicked on and were kind of. We're really looking at like having a really decent season, and bear in mind this is a Harrogate team that I don't want to sound too patronising, but people were thinking that that they might struggle in the league, and they've just the way that they've gone about their business has been admirable, and they've kicked on again, had a decent run, but then now they just plateaued a little bit in the season, and they've found themselves in mid-table, and like I said earlier, only one win in 10, and so I don't think they'll be particularly pleased with their recent form. It's interesting as well as we get to this stage of the season, because Harrogate you would assume are pretty much safe now. So what is realistically their ambitions for the rest of the season? They just kind of saying, well, try and finish as high as possible. That doesn't really encourage the players too much. It doesn't really make the players kind of get up for the rest of the games of the season. So hopefully, with us still needing, a few more points, we'll be more up for it from them. They have shown that they're capable, though, of pulling out some really quite decent performances. So absolutely shouldn't be taken lightly, despite their poor form.
And how do you feel going into it, Brendan? Because it was obviously that rearranged fixture when the surprise blizzard came along last month. We weren't in the... Well, I think it's putting it nicely that we weren't in great form when that fixture was, but neither were they. So it's a strange one. Is it maybe now a better time to be playing them?
Yeah, I think you could say that, and I think Harrogate themselves have form have dipped off slightly. I think they were a side earlier in the season who, obviously, like Andrew says, were really good, and then they went through a spell of kind of conceding a lot of goals, but also scoring a lot of goals. And then I remember for the game we were supposed to do, I was doing the research on them, and I think they were like the third or fourth highest scorers in the league at the time, and that's only like a month ago. And now you look at the scoring charts, and they're maybe like the 8th or 9th. And it shows that they've really found scoring difficult recently, but they've tightened up a little bit at the back. So I think they've kind of sacrificed a bit of their attacking edge for the defensive side of the game. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out tonight, because we know Richie Wellens prefers to be on the front foot, prefers to be an expansive coach. I know Harrogate will try and play on the front foot themselves. I think they're a very energetic side. They've got Mark Beck up front, who's a big, strong guy, and I think it'd be interesting if they go direct to him. And I think they're missing their captain today, Josh Falkenham, who is a player who Orient fans will probably know well, because he's been playing all the way back for Harrogate back in those National League battles we had with them. So it'll be a very interesting game, I think.
And do you think recent form will affect tonight's match much at all then? Because, will it?
Well, Orient will be flying at least, because Orient I think Ethan Coleman said in his pre-match interview, said that they really enjoyed the win on Saturday for the first time. They got the music on in the dressing room. It just changes the whole kind of vibe about the place. So Orient are going to come into this one in the best shape they've been in some time, and I think that plays in our favour compared to how we were looking maybe a month or so ago.
What I was going to ask is do you think maybe it will affect Richie's thoughts going into this, in the sense of maybe he will go for it a little bit more and take that into account, or how do you think he approaches it?
I think Richie Wellens, from what I've heard of him and what I've seen from him previously, I think he's always going to be a coach that's going to want to play on the front foot. I don't think he's going to be he's not going to be a pragmatic type of manager. I think he's always going to believe that his sides are going to play on the front foot. They're going to play attacking football and they're going to try and win. So I think he'll respect Harrogate, obviously, but I think he'll be thinking like the rest of us. We need to get that away win off our back, and we need to get as far away from the relegation zone as possible.
And who would you be looking at in that Harrogate side this evening then that might be able to cause Orient some difficulties this evening?
Yeah, I think for me, Jack Diamond is probably their star player. They play a 3-4-1-2 system, and he plays in that number 10 role. He's a player who's played for him multiple times now. I think this is his 4th or 3rd spell at the club on loan from Sunderland. He played last season about 30 games in League One for Sunderland. So for only a young player, that's pretty impressive. And you're seeing from the clips here, he just provides a bit of creativity, a bit of spark in the number 10 role, gets assists, gets goals. They love him there. By all accounts, I think he's got a really good relationship with the manager, hence why he keeps coming back to Harrogate. And he's going to be a real threat for Harrogate tonight in that number 10 role. So that's why it's so important that you've probably got someone like Darren Prattley in there tonight who can perhaps keep him quiet, because as you're seeing from the clips here, he's a very talented player.
And it's been tough for Orient to keep clean sheets as of late. I think the last one came against Port Vale. And looking at a player like Diamond, Andrew, the O's are going to need to be a lot more sharper in defence as well to try and keep a player like him under wraps.
Yeah, it was interesting, wasn't it, when we had that period of games where we were starting to draw games. So the Colchester one where we kind of came from 2-1 down to draw 2-2, and the frustrating thing about that was that we were scoring goals, which was a change because we were struggling to score goals, but then we were letting in goals, and really, really soft goals. And we kept on, saying around that period that we keep on putting ourselves in these positions where we have to fight for the points, we have to fight for 1 point. Even on Saturday, we had to fight for all 3 points that came from behind to win the game, which is obviously fantastic. But having that marker, being able to just build on keeping a clean sheet is so important. I think we had a period last season when, or perhaps even the season before, when Lawrence Figueroa kept 15, 16, maybe 17 clean sheets, where that was the route to our success, was keep a clean sheet, build from there. And we haven't kind of been able to do that in recent months, and it just makes it so much easier for a team if you can kind of rely on not conceding soft goals. I thought our goal on Saturday was probably a bit soft, mainly because there was that warning sign before they scored their goal where they pretty much had the same play and didn't score from it, then did it again, and then they did score from it. So if we can cut out that, if we can just keep it tight, not put ourselves in these positions where we're having to like really come from behind in any match, then that would be great. I mean, I'm asking for a lot. It's amazing what one win does for us, isn't it?
Well, it is just over 5 minutes now until the O's are playing another Tuesday night fixture on the road, but we're going to turn our attention slightly forward to this Saturday when the O's are back in E10. And it is football for a fiver as we face Barrow AFC. And as I said, it is football for a fiver. That means you can pick up a ticket for just £5. But the South and West Stand are both sold out. So make sure you purchase your one for the East or the North as soon as you can. It's the Retro Day as well, of course. So put your nice old Orient shirts on and come and get an O-Nut as well. It's all kicking off here at the Barrow Group Stadium. So make sure you come down and try and see the O's pick up another win here in E10. But let's look now again at this tonight's fixture, and as we said earlier, it has been a long time since an away win. The last one coming against Bristol Rovers back in September. How much might that be playing on their minds, do you think? Even though it's great that we've now picked up that home win and that first 3 points of the year, but this is a hoodoo that's been going on a little bit longer.
A little bit too long. I mean, we're just saying that the weather's got nice again. The last time we won away was when the weather was nice. It's been far too long. So hopefully, that win on Saturday shows that that we've got fight in. Obviously, our last win away did come under a different manager as well. I'm sure to really make his mark on the team and on the fans. Richie Wellens will want to just kind of like lift these burdens that have kind of been hanging over this team for too long now. So perhaps he'll kind of motivate them by making sure that we get back-to-back victories. I think it's just more importantly, rather than just having a win because it sounds good, we still need the points. I'm convinced we still need the points, and so just pushing ourselves and pulling ourselves away from the relegation zone completely tonight would be, I was incredibly happy after Saturday. I'll be even happier after tonight.
How confident are you though that the O's can pick up those 3 points, Brendan? Because Richie's first 2 games in charge were away. We were very solid. We're still unbeaten under the man. So does that breed you with much confidence ahead of tonight?
Yeah, it could be famous last words, but I do fancy us tonight. I just feel like the momentum's building. I think those, like you said, the 2 away games were difficult away games, and he didn't have much time on the training ground, but there was enough there to prove that he was building it was going in the right direction. And then Saturday, first half wasn't great. If we played like we did in the second half tonight, I really do fancy us. I think we might pick up that elusive first away win.
And you look at momentum as well, the M word you just mentioned there, and we do have so many fixtures. We've had so many fixtures, and Wellen said in his pre-match interview that they don't have much time to do anything on the training pitch. But do you think almost when you do start picking up those wins and stopping losing, those games get a little bit easier, and we can start to just build up a lot of points that we weren't able to do in large parts of January because of COVID and etc. and injuries, whatever. It is a good chance to get those points on the board and kind of relieve the pressure for the last part of the season.
Yeah, 100%. And you ask any footballer, and they say that after a win, for whatever reason, everything just becomes that little bit easier. You don't feel those kind of muscle pains as much as you do after a loss. You say that we haven't had much time on the training pitch, and there isn't really. But you saw what the club released yesterday. It looked like it was the lads were in really good spirit, having a good time on the training pitch, and of course most of that time is still taken up doing good practical training work. But they looked like the spirit was back, and the spirit that kind of people were speaking about at the start of the season when we went on that really decent run of form. That looked like kind of it was back at the training pitch as well yesterday.
Certainly does. And let's remind ourselves of the Leyton Orient lineup before we head up to our match commentary team. And in goal, of course, for the O's number 22, Lawrence Vigouroux, 3 Connor Wood, 6 Adam Thompson, 11 Theo Archibald, 14 Otis Khan, 16 Aaron Drynan, returning wearing the armband number 18 Darren Prattley, 19 Omar Beckles, 20 Roel Satiriou, 25 Shadrach Ogie, and 26 Hector Cipriano. And on the bench, Sam Sargent, Paul Smith, Harry Smith, Frank Newblane, Matt Young, Ethan Coleman, and George Ray. And as we talk about all these matches coming up, rotation and the bench will be crucial for the O's and to hopefully pick up as many points as possible. And there's some firepower on that bench, Brendan.
Yeah, I think Harry Smith will be feeling a little bit aggrieved that he's not starting tonight, considering he scored. But then also Paul Smith is going to be in the same boat, and I think they're two of the obvious options if things aren't going our way tonight to try and change things.
Well, hopefully everything does go our way, and it is very nearly now time to head up to Harrogate to join Dave Victor and Matt Hiscock. But don't forget, if you're watching along live on YouTube, to head over to the Orient website now to pick up your match pass and join us there. So, without further ado, let's go.
Welcome